Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, living beneficiaries, to the show for living beneficiaries, the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. Prepare for the most educational 60 minutes on all of radio with your host, Rick Hidalgo. The House of Hidalgo show can be followed on Twitter or Facebook by searching House of Hidalgo. Find the show on the web at www.therockofsalem.org. Sign up for the newsletter, and while you're there, take the 5-question survey to let us know what you think. The Estate Radio Network is part of the Blog Talk Radio family of networks and can be found at www.blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP. Join the show now by chat or call 619-639-4605. Don't forget to dial 1 to get in the queue. Here's your host, Rick Hidalgo! Rick Hidalgo, the host of the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network, and we have another wonderful show for you today. I wanted to let you know before we get going with that you could participate in our chat room. That's on the blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP site. Scroll down to the very bottom and you'll see the chat room. Also, you can call in at 619-639-4605. That's 619-639-4605. Today I've got Jay Sabol back on line with me. He's, of course, I'm assuming the founder of the One Community Global organization. It's a not-for-profit organization that's literally putting open source plans out there for anyone to come see on the internet. I mean, what corporation in the world does that? Lays all their blueprints out there for anybody to come by and take them and use them, and doesn't give a second thought to profit. This is a unique organization, and I've got its representative, Jay Sabol, on the line with me. Are you with me, Jay?
I sure am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. I appreciate you coming back on. It's almost getting to the point where it's a regular, bi-weekly type of update thing that we got here. And I always look forward to hearing updates because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be totally honest with you here, Jay. I'm so excited about this that what I've done is I've commissioned one of my own children to go through the One Community Global website and actually copy-paste it into a Word document, like all these aquapinis and wallapini, all the different information about each one of the produce that's going in. I literally have them converting it into a Word document just in the event that for some crazy reason our authorities decide to take down the internet. I'd have this information available to me because that's how important I really feel it is.
Thank you. That's outstanding.
So for the advantage of for the people who haven't really gotten into this yet and don't understand exactly what it is you're doing, maybe just kind of a rough update of who you are one more time.
Yep, you bet. Well, as you said, we're a nonprofit organization. One Community is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our highest value is operating and making all of our decisions and creating everything we can for the highest good of all. And that's our tagline, One Community for the highest good of all. And most specifically, what we are creating is open source blueprints for complete sustainable cities, and not just cities, but civilizations, in that it includes social architecture, implementation of resource-based economies. There's an education program that we're designing as well, a whole recreational model, self-governance, all the different aspects that you can think of. And so we put about 15 years of planning and preparation before we officially launched 2.5 years ago, and it's been a full-time job for me ever since. And now we've got an amazing team of over 50 consultants and pioneer members of our team, and our purpose is just to continue to churn out open source blueprints for sustainable housing, energy infrastructure, food infrastructure, all the details in preparation for building one community that will represent 7 different sustainable village models that anybody will be able to come and visit and see and experience, and then take everything that we've created and go and duplicate it using our open source blueprints and models and everything that we're doing. And so that's what we're all about.
And it's one of the most phenomenal things that exist on the planet right now, because we really do have, Jay, a little bit of a problem in our society. It's a take society, and very few people actually give back. And here you are putting together these open source blueprints and really consuming your life with this, because I've seen your posts and your updates on Facebook, and I know that you're consumed with this. I mean, this is something that's like taking on a new nature for you, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what I do. It's about a minimum of 40 hours a week, somewhere between 40 and 70 hours a week, and then of course I've got a son too, so that's the rest of my time. But this is our focus, and this is what we're creating. We see no higher value and nothing greater that we can give back than creating what it is that we're creating. We're doing everything we can to make this manifest as quickly as possible, because we really we know that once we create one working model, and if we make it affordable enough, we make it easy enough, we demystify the process, we're building all the relationships with all the different materials providers, technology providers, and then open sourcing everything that can be created by the do-it-yourselfers. We know if we can do this effectively that it has the potential to become self-replicating and experience exponential growth and truly transform life on this planet. And so that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the story doesn't change. See, that's another thing that's great about this organization that you've built here is it's the same story over and over and over again. It doesn't change based on a whim or a policy or whatever comes about. Now, one of the things we wanted to get into today, Jay, is we've talked a little bit about different aspects of this in our different meetings. One of the things that I thought would be interesting to dive into, and it came from you, is this education model. I'd like you to talk a little bit about what that education model is and what it might look like.
Yep. Well, before I jump into the education model, I'd just like to kind of say why the education model is even a part of one community.
Sure.
And that goes back to the origin of one community, which was, for me, I had a near-death experience when I was in college, which transformed the way I thought about my future and set me on a different path and turned me into an entrepreneur instead of a college guy. And part of that near-death experience was recognizing that I could do whatever I want. Like, I had a choice in how I lived my life. I didn't have to live it per the status quo. I didn't have to become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer like everybody thought I should. And instead, I started thinking about what my ultimate experience of life would really be and what the shortest path to that was. And one community was the creation of that. And through that process, it was an understanding of the idea would be more time to do the things that I love to do, more time to spend with people that have a similar vision for the world and want to create something and really make a difference in the world. And this idea of how do you create a sustainable life. It really, my college experience was leading me up to getting a job, working 40 years, retiring with a good pension or some sort of good retirement, and this idea of, okay, that would be my ultimate life. And I realized what would be a shorter path to that, and that set me on the path of sustainability. And how this applies to education specifically was, as the sustainability model started to evolve, the food, the energy, the housing, the idea was, if we can build sustainable infrastructure, we can dramatically reduce our daily expenses. If you look at the bulk of what people's bills are, it's food, energy, housing, and education. That's another one of the big ones. And so in the one community model, education was always a big part of it. And when my son was born, it became a much bigger part of it, looking at what the education system looks like now and recognizing that there are some really amazing systems out there. We've studied all of them. Waldorf, Reggio, or Aid Intelligence, all of these different education programs that are out there, we looked at them and we said, why can't we put these together and create an education program that has the best of the best? I mean, One Community is about that with sustainability. It's about taking the best of the best and showcasing that and open sourcing and free sharing that. And so the education program is the same general idea. Is we looked at all the best education systems out there, and then we're creating a modular education program. And what I mean by that is the whole education program is open source and free shared, but we wanted to create all the different elements so they could be used individually in a homeschooling environment, or they could be taken and applied in a traditional schooling environment, or the complete model, just like One Community, could be used to set up an independent education program, all the way down to licensing and creating a community-based education program, a charter school. And so the education program that we've created is built on several different components, the first component being strategy of great teachers, leaders, and communicators, and that being the foundation of, okay, well, this is the individual element that we want to incorporate into all aspects of One Community. Everybody really should have a pretty good grasp of what these concepts are. And to create that, we're looking at things like the Four Agreements. We've been spending weeks on dissecting A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle because we think it's an amazing book to build an education program off of. We're looking at Tony Robbins and motivational speakers and people that are real achievers, and we're building that as our foundation for educators and just a community culture. The second component then would be curriculum. And so we looked at the curriculum and we said, okay, the obvious stuff is already out there, math, science, reading, that is foundational, but what about integrity? What about teaching how to learn instead of just what to learn? What about teaching out of the box thinking? What about looking at, how do you teach things like honesty? How do you teach things like compassion? And how do you incorporate that into the education program? And so that was the second piece that we put into place. And the curriculum was all done so people can see this on the website. And the third piece was strategy of learning. And the idea was, what if you took all the best education programs that are out there and you looked at the specific strategies that are unique to those different education programs in teaching different things? And we talked to people that are in some really amazing schools right now. We talked to people that are fresh coming out of these schools. So what was your most amazing learning experience? Who were the best teachers? And as a team, we looked at this and we said, okay, let's create a list of strategies that can be used to teach literally anything. And the idea is then you can take the curriculum and you can plug it into these strategies, and you can teach multiple curriculum items simultaneously as an educational environment that doesn't require a desk and a book. You can use that stuff, but that stuff becomes supplemental to the education program. And once again, all of this is meant to be used in the way that people want. So our idea is saying, hey, we think that we can create an education program that doesn't require the traditional model, that transcends that and really evolves it into something that's more fun, it's more engaging, and teaches kids how to learn as well as all the knowledge, as opposed to just focusing on facts and things that might not be as interesting to children. And so those strategies were the way to do that. And then the next component is teaching tools and toys and learning aids. And so we've compiled a whole section for that as well. And we're just about to move into designing the ultimate classroom, which is taking all the elements from all the educational systems that we looked at and designing a standalone classroom that really caters to that and integrates all of the different pieces. And then the final piece is evolving it all in a collaborative process for creating portfolios. And so this model is something that we actually want to apply to all of One Community. It's being designed so that people of any age will be able to enter into what it is that we're creating, come and visit and participate as an intern or become a community member and bring their children. And through this education program, it'll actually prepare people in a much more expedient fashion and more effective way to either enter into the work field or to enter into college and higher level education, or if they're already adults, to come and participate in One Community and be able to take what they learn and then apply it back into, once again, a traditional work environment or setting up future sustainable communities that could be completely different from what it is that we're doing. And so the template that we're creating is that's the overview. And it's probably a lot to bite off of, but that's the summary.
Well, that's good. And Jay, we may have a question. Let me see if I can bring the caller in. Caller, area code 425. Do you have a question? area code 425. Okay. All right, it's very possible that they just called to listen and didn't realize they didn't have to push the 1. So we'll go on. Well, based on what you said, Jay, that sounds, like you said, there's a lot to chew on, and there's a lot of directions we can go from there. Have you ever? So you're kind of seeing this, Jay, as a this community. You're seeing this community as kind of its own exclusive community, but then people would still, travel to their respective jobs and such, and they just come back home to this particular community. Have you ever seen this community in a sense where it's kind of all its own all-inclusive community, so the jobs are within that community?
Oh, yeah, no, one community is designed to be exactly that. Yeah, so nobody in one community model will work outside of one community. It's a standalone entity, and the purpose of one community is to share itself with the world. And so the revenue streams come from people visiting and will be competitively priced with Best Western. Only the difference is all of your food would be included, recreational model. The whole living experience is what people are coming to experience, and then if they want hands-on experience with everything that we're doing, that's built into the model. So in the case of what we're setting up and the duplicable prototype that we want to establish for others to be able to duplicate as well, it's a model that really does not require people to work outside of the community model. Once you build the sustainable infrastructure, your overhead is so low that we want to teach, part of what we're open sourcing is for-profit and non-profit business models. And the for-profit business model is an ecotourism model that could be applied anywhere that a sustainable community like this would be set up if people want to do that, or people who, if they had the financial fortitude to be able to just get themselves off grid and to live that way consistently without any income, could do that as well. And so we want to be able to provide for everybody.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's so amazing about this particular concept that you're laying out, is it can be used in so many diverse ways. Because and I guess I'm just a focus-minded kind of person. I tend to focus in on one particular concept at a time, and as I look at this concept, I mean, look at all the diversity of jobs you would have in a community like this. Take your earth bag community, and you're talking about setting up what was it, 67 different earth bag homes?
Yep.
So you got 67 earth bag homes in a community, and you've got all these different jobs within the community that you need done. Like for instance, somebody's got to go around and check the aquapinas, and and there's a variety of jobs within that concept as well, where someone's got to maintain temperature, somebody's got to run the somebody's got to. There's just so many things within that. Jay, is that kind of what you're envisioning? Is those 67 households within that community? They're literally keeping that community going by different jobs within that community.
Yep. Yeah, so covering everything from child care to, like you said, food infrastructure, and then construction, and of course for us, one of our foundational purposes is the open source project launch blueprinting. It's creation of continuous open source content so that other people can more easily duplicate everything that we're doing. And interestingly enough, if you actually run the calculations on this, like if you really sit down and you look at everything that it would take to maintain a community like this, and I think this is probably one of the biggest selling points that I see coming to bear for mainstream America, is once you get a community like this established, it honestly doesn't take more than about 20, if it's large enough. If you've got a community of over 20 or 30 people, it really doesn't take more than about 20 hours per person per week to operate the whole community, and that includes domestic duties. So that includes your laundry, food preparation, a style of living that most people would consider far superior to what they're doing right now, just because it provides so much more free time and so much more recreational opportunity and time with your family and the things that most people really value. And in our case, the additional 20 hours, and this is probably one of the most common questions that we get from people, because people that really study this stuff and are thinking about communities see that we have a 40-hour community contribution model. They're like, hey, if your model was really running efficiently, you could do this in 20 hours. And our response is, well, we know that we can do it in 20 hours, but we're committed to the additional 20 hours every person to our open source goals and our nonprofit goals and giving back to the world so that other people can duplicate these. And for those of us that are signed on to this project and are doing this, it's not work. It's a hell of a lot of fun, and it's the whole point. So, it's not a problem. If it is, people are like, oh, man, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, yeah, this probably isn't the project for you. But if that's what really juices you in the morning, gets you excited to wake up and go, wow, I'm giving something back to the world, I'm making a real difference, a historic difference, that's what we're about.
Right. Yeah, and it takes a little while before people wrap their minds around this and really start to comprehend and understand what it is that you're laying out here. But as I'm just taking one little tiny piece, one little model, and I'm looking at you're talking about 100 people in a community of 67 earth bags, okay, and each one of those 100 people is literally going to take every single one of them in order to accomplish the community that you're hoping to bring forth. So it really is an all-inclusive community. You don't have, like you have now, you don't have your town drunkard and your jest and your town fool and that kind of thing. You're actually talking about employing all 100 people in a diverse system that actually accounts for something. I mean, they've all got their own purpose. That's a phenomenal idea, Jay.
Yeah, thank you. And it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, our model has to be that way. We're
right.
establishing ourselves because of our global goals, et cetera. But the point of it all is once we get it set up, nothing. It's kind of an inside joke that we say that our biggest. I won't say we. I've said before that my biggest solution would be that if a group of people wanted to get together and build something like one community, just so they could sit out in the forest and smoke pot and play bongos all day long, that's a hell of a success story. If we create it so that people could really go with their intent, really just being to live the super easy life and not to put a whole lot of energy into it, and we can set it up so that people can successfully do that, that's fantastic. That's not what we're doing, but we want to make it so that literally anybody with whatever their viewpoint, whatever their perspective is, can take what it is that we're creating and go out there and duplicate it and then demonstrate it in a different way. And we see that as really, really a big factor and a big component of for the highest good of all philosophy that we really promote, is that the more diversity that's out there, the more different views, everything from survival communities to, peace and love communities to whatever, they could be political organizations, it doesn't really matter. But creating that diversity built on sustainable infrastructure, from our perspective, creating that level of autonomy for people is really, really a good thing for humanity as a whole. And that's what we see specifically spreading, like a viral spread across the planet, and just,
right.
Thousands of different iterations of what this looks like. And we assume that, iteration number 10 or 12 is going to be way cooler than one community, because they'll be standing on all the work and successes and, everything that we've learned from our experience, and they'll be able to build it bigger and better and invest their money and funds in building beyond what we started with. So, but somebody's got to build the first one.
Exactly. And I'm going to use this radio show, this platform right here, and I'm going to make a statement. And here's where I'm going with this. I would really love to see somebody take this one community global big picture here that you're laying out and apply it to all the different Indian reservations around the United States. And here's why I say that. If you look within those communities, you're looking at some of the most deplorable conditions in the country. You're looking at unemployment rates that are through the roof. you're looking at people that all they do all day long is drink. It's a carousing environment. It's terrible, and these people don't want to be this way, but it's a condition of where they're at. And wouldn't it be great, Jay, to take a group of people out to an Indian reservation and teach these people how to live what really came from them to begin with, this whole self-sustaining idea?
Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate goal is we believe that, well, it's very predictable that the places where this kind of model will spring up and be most effective and happen the fastest are places like you described, as well as, third world countries and things like that, because the restrictions on building are so much less, and the need for what it is that's being provided is so much greater. And so we'd like to believe that there is a willing and interested workforce to help establish this kind of infrastructure, and for people that want to do this as an opportunity for a completely new life and creating a level of sustainability that's really provides for all of their needs, and not just food, energy, and housing as we described, the education model, all the other aspects of it. What an opportunity to be able to take that into an area where you would really be welcomed and to have so much support, and to be able to provide something for the surrounding community and have the support of the surrounding community in helping and setting it up. And now it becomes a humanitarian and philanthropic effort that's a whole new paradigm of philanthropy and humanitarianism, because the idea is that you're not going in there to be a bandage or a Band-Aid on a problem, but you're going in as a permanent solution to integrate with the culture and to really provide something that's long-term. And then the other beauty of this model, which I don't think I've talked about this on the show, but, the whole idea is that if it's built, once something like this has enough value, that it's also designed so that people can try it out. And if they don't like it, there's enough value that they could sell it, and it would still be a profitable venture. So with one community specifically, our model is set up that it doesn't cost anything to join one community. And we believe that we can keep it so it'll never cost anything for somebody to become a part of one community. So what it does require is a commitment of time and energy. But the return on that is if somebody commits 18 months of building on the property with the team, at the end of 18 months, they will own the home that they helped build. And then if they wanted to go off and do something else, or they didn't like the community life, or they were just interested in starting another community somewhere else, or going into a traditional work environment, or whatever it is, that home that they helped build would be a revenue stream for them. And one community would operate that as a revenue stream, where the community would make 30%, the individual would make 70%, but they wouldn't have to do anything to do that. Or they could sell the home to somebody else that wanted to come into one community and would like to buy a home and do that. And so this model right here, that duplicable aspect of the model could be duplicated anywhere in the world. You could set up something like this in Brazil, and then if you had a group of people that wanted to come in, you could establish it and build the infrastructure, and you could sell it to somebody else that might want to come down there and take over that, or just sell the individual home. And the more the village model, the community model expands, the more successful it becomes, the more the values of those homes appreciate. So it's very different than a traditional model because nobody owns land. So the land is placed in a trust so that the land makes sure that those houses are going to be secured indefinitely, and then the homes are owned by the individuals with like a 100-year lease, which is something that the government's doing right now in a lot of forest land and things like that in the United States. It's actually a very, very successful model.
Wow. Jay, you just opened up a whole new world there. That's amazing. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick 2.5-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the recreational aspect of this. How's that sound?
Excellent. Yeah. Wonderful.
All right. We'll be right back. Do you need an experienced editor to look over your short story, script, or novel? Do you need help building a platform or self-publishing your book? Are you on the cusp of realizing your dream, but you need someone to help you with those few extra steps? Are you a business in need of an established copy editor or copywriter? Dan O'Brien has more than a decade of experience in writing and publishing, and his rates are flexible. All that matters to Dan is the integrity of your artistic vision, and Dan can help you create the highest quality work possible. please email Dan today at amalgamconsulting@gmail.com or visit his website, www.amalgamconsulting.com. That's AMALGAM consulting.com. Write Dan today. Start your dreams tomorrow. Do you have hopes, dreams, and goals, but don't know how to reach them? Do you wonder how you could do differently to achieve greater success at home or at work? Do you feel like something is holding you back from enjoying your life to the fullest? Are you fed up with status quo and ready for real and lasting life change? Are you wanting to start a business or expand an existing one? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you are ready for life coaching with Mr. Attitude. Mr. Attitude will stretch and grow you and take your life to a whole new level of success by equipping you with the tools to help you to accomplish more in less time, get and keep your priorities in line, gain greater happiness and joy, face your fears, plan for success, be more assertive and confident, overcome negative stress, deal with negative thinking, set goals you will achieve, and more. Mr. Attitude specializes in results producing. Life strategy coaching for the personal side of your life, small business coaching for those who want to start a small business or build a stronger small business, train the trainer coaching for those who aspire to become a motivational professional speaker. Call today and reserve your appointment with greater success. 605-450-1955. That's 605-450-1955. Or email Bob at MrAttitudespeaks.com. That's MrAttitudespeaks.com. Mr. Attitude is committed to your success. All right, we're back on the House of Hidalgo show on the State Radio Network, and I am on the line today with Jay Sabol, and he's from onecommunityglobal.org. I would encourage you to visit that website. That is www.onecommunityglobal.org. It's a phenomenal website, and you'll spend literally weeks on it before you even get through half the information. So there's just so much stuff on there, Jay. You got I got 6 kids, Jay, and I've split them up. I've said, okay, you got this category, you got this category, and each one of them are responsible for a different category, and they better darn well know it by the end of the school year too.
Huh. That's great. I'll come up with a test for you.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, do that. Come up with a test for me. But we want to get into a little bit of the recreational concept here, because that's a big part of life. When we talk about our particular country, and I know you got a global concept here, but we focus on America just for a second here. One of the things that we enjoy the most is that our right to pursue happiness and our right to pursue that thing that we just always wanted, whether it be going fishing every day, whether it be having a swimming pool or going out and boating or whatever it is. How does one community tackle these kind of issues? How do you make life more enjoyable?
That's a great question. There's a couple different layers to the answer to that question. The first one is time, and then the second one would be financial investment of resources. And when you start talking about things like boats and swimming pools and stuff like that, that would be a separate category. So let me talk about the first one first, because it was really a big part of the creation of one community. And to build the effective foundation for the discussion, I want to use, and last time I was on your show, I was talking about how, community models are already working. If you look at, I think I talked about it on this show, maybe not, but, if you look at a fraternity, it's a great example of where people collaborate together to get things done, and by working together, or any family unit that's really working effectively, where everybody has their jobs within the family unit, and by coordinating your efforts, Not every single person has to make dinner, and not every single person has to clean the house, and not every single person has to do laundry. You only have a few people that take care of one or two people that take care of that for the entire household. And so the one community model was originally, before we were a nonprofit organization, we were a for-profit organization, and the model was designed around an efficiency model, and this concept that you look at something like a Renaissance fair or any type of festival, and the fact that people will pay to go and visit a festival because they want that recreational experience that the festival provides. And the idea with one community was, well, why don't we just create a complete community environment that provides that for people, but rather than being something that only happens 1 or 2 months out of the year, why don't we set it up so that it's just a permanent fixture and make it something that people want to visit? And we said, well, how would we do that? And so the original one community model was designed to be an artisan model, and the 7 different sustainable village models, the reason why they're called pods is they were meant to be different artistic expressions of all of the different sustainable building options that were out there. And so people would come to visit different sustainability options, but the whole model would be run by artisans. And so the idea would be that, people would put in their 20 hours to keep the whole thing running, and then their other 20 hours of contribution would be doing the things that they loved as a potter, as a woodworker, or as an artist. People would come and visit. They'd be able to buy the wares, et cetera. The whole model was built around. There was an awakening, about 2.5 years ago that made us realize that our real purpose on this planet is to create open source blueprints and to create something that would work for everybody. And so what happened is that evolved from a community of artisans into a community of world change people that would be able to create blueprints so that communities of artisans could exist all over the world. And this understanding that, 10 years from now, it would be very easy for us to provide that. Even less than 5 years from now, we would have enough of an infrastructure in place that we would be able to invite the best of the best to come and be a part of what it is, because it would be an instant retirement plan for them. And by that, I mean, say you're an artisan, say you're a tailor, say that you're a woodworker, say that you're a metal worker, and this is your passion, or an amazing teacher. Once the infrastructure is established, we have everything that we need, and we have enough need for that specific skill that that person could come and contribute predominantly just what they love to do most in that environment. And so that's why I say it's like an instant retirement plan. And our organization is built from people that consider world change and creating open source blueprints and everything that we're doing. This is our idea of retirement. A lot of people look at this and think we're crazy. Like, are you kidding? Like, that's so much work and so much effort. But there are people like us that are really into that. Once we get it established, we'll be able to invite other people in to continue to evolve the environment and grow the environment. So when it comes to a recreational perspective, just from a time perspective, the efficiency model of sharing and combining the foundations of life like laundry and food preparation, et cetera, going to the grocery store until our food infrastructure is set up. And then once the food infrastructure is set up, you don't need to do that. You no longer need to travel off the property for education. All these different things create a surplus of time. And then built into our model specifically, the 40 hours that we talk about, it's 5 hours per person of contribution to the recreational model itself. And that 5 hours can be anything that 15% of the community population is interested in, as long as it's open to the public, as long as it's open to everybody in the community and people that are visiting. And so that then fuels the culture of recreation and recreational activities of live music and movie night and game night and nature walks, and book clubs, writing clubs, you name it. There's 5 hours. And even with our initial group of 40 to 50 people, you're talking 200 hours a week contributed to that environment. And then I can go into infinite details on the layers of that, because I have years of life coaching experience is what I became an entrepreneur in, and holistic health. And how it's designed around this idea of how do you motivate people to do the things that they want to do already. We already know, like, if you have groups of people that come together like a reading club or a book club, then that really works. There's an accountability there. And so that accountability model is built into the social architecture of one community. It's founded on this idea of how do we create the maximally enriching environment and then continue to evolve that environment as a collaborative, and then create enough time for people to be able to participate in these things. And it's going to be an amazing social experiment, seeing where people put their time when they have a diversity of activities at their fingertips that they can participate in, that's broader than anything you would get even in a major city like New York or Los Angeles, because it's all within walking distance and none of it costs any money. Now where do people put their time? Where do people choose to invest their time? Because you have such a variety of things that you can do. Where do people choose to go, and what do they choose to do? We don't know. We're going to find out. But the environment, the enriching environment to find out and answer that social question right there is a big part of what it is that we're creating. So that's the first half. Any questions on that? And I can talk about the swimming pools.
What a question. Any questions on that? Man, we could talk about just that forever. But
totally.
You hit on something there, and it kind of made me think, which I like that, by the way. I'm kind of a free-thinking kind of guy, so I like having to think. But so this gives me the impression that you really can't quantify a certain amount of acreage for this project, because the concept is going to continually grow. So as these people are contributing their 15% of their time back to recreational concepts, those recreational concepts can go in so many different directions that it may actually necessitate some extra acreage to do those things. So you really can't say that this concept or this community is going to be, you only need this much space or this much room for it. Am I hearing right there, Jay?
For our model, that's true, and so, we've identified a property that's hundreds of acres because we want to expand to, our goal is global change, so we're shooting to expand to a population of well over 300 full-time residents working on open source project launch blueprinting and our foundation of highest good of all thinking. So you put together a group of 300 nonprofit people that are there not because they're paid to be there, but because they want to be there and they want to affect world change. That's why we're really serious when we talk about historic global change. There's not an organization that I'm aware of in the world right now doing that. And so that's the infrastructure that we're building. As far as other people duplicating the model, this is one of the reasons why everything that we're creating is being designed to be modularly implemented. So what we want to do is we want to identify exactly how much space is needed to provide X amount of food and how much it would cost to build that infrastructure. And then, like the Straw Bale Village is meant to be modular sustainability that could expand as a community's needs expand. And so you put those elements together, and somebody could enter into something like this and say, hey, I want to buy 30 acres, and they would know if that's going to meet their needs because they have a pretty good idea of how much acreage is going to be needed for food production, and then how much acreage is going to be needed for their housing, and our housing is super space efficient. Most of our village models can be built on 1 acre. But the reason this ties into the swimming pools and the boats, the idea for that is, our idea for that is to not invest money in 2,400 square foot houses, instead to invest money in much smaller living residences, and then take all the surplus resources that you have and put those into amazing community spaces. Why would everybody have a little teeny tiny, temporary swimming pool in their backyard when 40 of us could put together our resources and build a massive swimming pool bigger than something you find at a hotel, if that's what the group really wanted to do.
And on that note, and on that note, Jay, how is the idea of the natural swimming pool coming?
It's coming along really well. I'm waiting to, I'm getting it confused with our gray water processing. Yeah, natural swimming pool is coming along really well. We just brought on a new partner who has tons of swimming pool experience to start looking at the codes and things like that. And then we've got our 2 partners, Meg West, who's a landscape architect, as well as Jennifer Engelmeyer, who runs loveyourhottub.com. And so we're putting together not just a natural swimming pool, but also an eco hot tub. And then those are great examples of modular sustainability, because those are part of the Sago Center Duplicable City Hub for us in one community. But we want to open source project launch blueprint those so that people could take that foundation and build exactly the same as what we're building if they want using our blueprints, or take those blueprints in hand and go to a landscape architect and say, hey, I've already done this much work. can you take this and make it more awesome? I'd like to add a waterfall here, and I'd like to do this. And we'll have all the CAD drawings and everything, all that stuff that most people have to put a lot of money into designing ahead of time. It's already done. And so you can take that and build off of that and expand it in a whole bunch of different ways. And we'd love it if people want to then collaborate with us to expand the open source archive. That's our true desire, is to get more and more people then taking that when they take our resources and they build off of it. Great, contribute what you made back into the collective so that other people can make it even better. Let's keep building this thing to make it better and better and better.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I was curious as you were running through there. I did not mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's coming along. So a combination of ozone and UV for natural water sterilization, and then you've got a biozone that also adds filtration in a flow form that helps reoxygenate the water and make the ozone safe, because it's not good to have ozone directly on your skin. And then, you have a natural swimming pool that's clean, it's algae-free, and, just an amazing little ecosystem there. You don't need any chemicals, chlorine, or anything in it. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's totally wonderful. And I look forward to those blueprints coming up when they do.
Yep.
And let's talk for a minute here, Jay. One of the concepts that some listeners have a hard time with, and I'll specifically speak in my household, is I've endlessly talked about this with my wife and my kids. One thing, Jay, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but we love to do Thanksgiving, and when you get more than one woman in a kitchen, oh boy. And so we've thought about this, and we looked at this system, and you start looking at you're talking about kind of a communal eating system, obviously, because it's the most efficient way to do it. Because what do you really spend time in your home, right? Your bedroom is pretty much your most sacred spot. Everything else is communal. If you've got a family, your living room's communal. Your bathroom is really a communal bathroom. Your kitchen's communal. Everything is communal except for your bedroom. That's really where your private space is. So it makes perfect sense to me for the most efficient model is to build what amounts to bedrooms, which is your earth bag model, where everybody's got their own room. If you want to look at it like a hotel, that sounds great. And then have a place where everybody can collectively come and enjoy meals, not just together, but if you've got that loner who doesn't like to eat with everybody else, I suppose they could go back there and cook their own meal, couldn't they, Jay?
Or sure, or just grab a nice meal that was prepared for them and go eat it somewhere else.
Right. So I really like this, and I love to spend a little bit of time getting into those intricacies, which you would take. We could do 100 shows on that, but what do you? I'm just trying to put it out there so people can understand this model and really come to love it the way that I have, because my particular vision, Jay, is given the right amount of funding, and funding is something I'm working on. I'm expecting at some point to have some funding available. When that funding comes, I'd love to be able to go out and start a community and invite like-minded people to come and participate in a community. And so your model is perfect for what I'm thinking. So as we get this whole thought going, man, you can blow your mind on stuff like this, Jay. You just,
yep.
You start thinking one way, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's a better way. There's this over here. So let's continue with this discussion on the recreational aspect of this. I know my wife hates doing laundry. I'm assuming that a lot of other wives out there don't like doing laundry. How do How do you handle that laundry situation? Obviously, there's a communal laundry somewhere. It's in its eco-friendly environment.
Yep. So that's built into the Sego Center duplicable city hub is, a laundry capability for about 300 people. And, the structure for laundry in our model, and this is interesting because it's one of those things where I've definitely had people say, what? People are sensitive about their underwear. And it's like, man, people should get, at least in our organization, people need to get over that because that's just silly. Like everybody's got underwear. If you have a problem with people seeing your underwear, one community's, our model, the way we're going to function probably is not a good fit. So, but in our group, some of the things that we screen for is like, are you okay with people seeing your underwear? I mean, there's a lot more complex questions than that, but they really get at the root of that kind of stuff because the idea with laundry is, our model is set up so that is one of those things that one person could do laundry or two or three people could do laundry for a community of hundreds if it's organized such that you take your laundry, you put it out, it's in a colored bag, that colored bag can then be thrown directly into these high volume washers and you can wash everything together like that, take it out, and, that's one person's job for that week. And if it's a job that's undesirable, and laundry probably would be, things just rotate amongst everybody. And so the undesirable jobs, because you have a large group of people doing the chores, we'll just call them chores, then there's not one person that has to be the laundry person, which I think in most families that job tends to fall on one person, and that's pretty much the laundry person. Well, if that job is distributed amongst 20 or 30 people, then your time around on laundry and dishes, only comes every once in a while. And then people who really love to cook obviously get priority in the cooking department. People who love to build, then, let's put people that like to do these things on those jobs first because they really want to do those. And then what's left over, let's divide that fairly amongst everybody else. And so it creates, once again, just a more pleasant working and living environment because there's such a diversity of things that need to be done that you start with that diversity of what people want to do, and then you go, okay, what's left over, and then what's the fairest way to divide this up? And then that comes back to what you're saying about, too many cooks in the kitchen as well. In our organization, we use the consensus process as part of our screening process, and we have everybody educated in consensus. It's a certain mentality that goes along with the ability to really cooperate and collaborate effectively in groups, and there's strategies that have been proven to work for that, and so that is the way to overcome that, because that idea of too many cooks in the kitchen could be applied to too many people trying to figure out, do we want a swimming pool or do we want a bigger hot tub, that kind of stuff. And so it's real important to have a group of people that are on the same page and understand that it's about flexibility, it's about cooperation and collaboration and compromise. And so once you get a bunch of people together to really understand that, then you can sit down and you can make decisions really effectively. The end result is greater than any individual because now you have a collaborative unit. You have more brains in the game on it. And so that's the idea, is really having a structure in place. I would recommend a structure and an educational model for teaching people, and it's another part of what we're open sourcing, for teaching people how to run those types of collaborative meetings, and also really having some sort of screening process so that you don't have a group of people that want to be a part of the decision-making process for everything. You have a group of people instead that want to pick the best person for the job and say, great, I trust you to do that, and you can trust me to do this, like in a family. But it's like, I'm taking care of this. You don't have to micromanage me. I got it covered. You take care of that, and then we can all work together as an effective team. And that's what we've spent a lot of time with as one community, really getting clear on that in our organization, in our group of people that are working together, and our core team that will be moving on the property is that specific skill set, because it's foundation to us pulling off what we want to do and contributing what we are to it.
Wow. Wow, there's just so much to think about.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, what would I do? I'd probably just say, hey, Jay, would you like to travel to South Dakota and do some training? That's what I'd do. But
Yep.
Yeah, this is really, really good information. I think it's important for all of us to start thinking this way, man. This is gonna promote a more effective way of life. It's just everything is really great about this. it's even difficult to talk about and to try to put your thoughts together and it starts with just making a basic plan, and that's what you're doing at One Community Global. Is you're putting together a beautiful blueprint for all of us to be able to just grab a hold of and move on, and I appreciate that. That's something that you should be commended for. Is the Nobel Peace Prize still up for consideration? Because I might put Jay Sabol on that list.
Ha! Let's talk in a decade.
All right. Well, Jay, we're just under 5 minutes here. Is there something new that you're working on that you like to put out there?
Just this last week has been a huge week for us for food infrastructure. If people haven't checked out our food infrastructure page, we finished the large-scale aquapini planting details. If you want a great example of what it is that we're creating with open source content, go to our website, onecommunityglobal.org/highestgoodfood, and then click on any of the links that go to what it is that we're planting. But more specifically, the large-scale aquapini is done as far as what we're going to plant in that structure, how much the yield is going to be. We're in the process of working out the purchase orders so that anybody that sees something on there that they want to incorporate into their home garden or anywhere, or if they want to duplicate the entire structure, they could. But the idea, the modular sustainability and the modular duplication idea is everything that we do is open source. So we're going to put out all of our contacts, and we're doing all the research. Michael Martin, our botanist, is doing all the research on all of these different plants. And, he's put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into creating these details. And so you can see those up on our website. We've also got the aquapini, xenopini 1 and 2 maps are now up, so you can see the planting maps for those structures, which finishes up our entire food infrastructure. We've got our food production calculations for everything are now up. This has all happened in the last week, and we've updated the Highest Good Food page that I just referenced as well, has been updated, and then we're almost done with tropical atrium plants in the background, and then we'll be transferring all those over onto the website too. But they're great examples. Those pages are some really great examples of what it is, the level of detail that we're applying to everything that we're doing, and really a fun read if you'd like to, for anybody who'd like to really explore and understand the lack of diversity that currently exists in our grocery stores. It's shocking when you look at what's really out there and what we could be growing in our backyards right now, the amazing foods, the amazing diversity from around the world. No time in history have we had access to the plant material and foods that we have today. I grew up in a household where my dad used to say, we eat like kings. He used to always say, 200, 300 years ago, a king could not eat like we eat. Well, today, compared to when I was a kid, thanks to the internet and access to some of these plants that, are extinct in the wild, but you can grow them in your backyard if you create the right environment. Take a look at it. It's mind-blowing what's available, and that's a big part of our open source botanical garden model that we're really building as well, which we haven't talked about at all. But if you go to onecommunityglobal.org/botanical garden, you can see the details of that botanical garden model and how that all applies, because we want to really share this diversity with people and show people what they can do and put this diversity back into the mainstream in a way, well, not even back, give this diversity to the mainstream in a way that it's never existed on this planet ever. And where for the first time in history, we can do that. What a celebration of what it is that we're capable of as a species. And so it's a big part of what we're doing. And I don't know if you wanted to mention that Michael will be coming on your show, Rick, because he's definitely confirmed that he'll do that.
Yes, excellent. I look forward to having Michael Martin on this show, and that's your botanist, right?
Yeah, he's the brain trust behind the food infrastructure and the diversity. The guy he knows more about plants than anybody I've ever even heard of. It's just, it'll be a good conversation.
I tell you, the immensity, that was the right word to use, Jay. The immensity, sorry about that phone there. The immensity of that is just incredible. I like I said, I took one of my kids and I took him to the side and I said, I said, okay, you are responsible for, copy pasting all this stuff down. Man, you know how many word pages that is? That was so many pages, and it was just because of what you're doing here, Jay. You take just a tropical atrium all by itself, and you have these. You have your trees, and then you have your underbush, and you have your, and all of it has to be just right, or else it won't survive and it won't make it. And so I look forward to speaking with Michael Martin and getting these concepts squared away in my little tiny brain, because man, it's just like you said, the word immense is that's the perfect word to use. Jay, we're pretty much out of time. I want to thank you again for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on and to talk to you about these things, and I look forward to next time. And hopefully next time you'll have some good news for us, that you've arrived at the funding that you need and you're getting started.
That would be a nice next step. Yes, it would. Thank you. Pleasure.
Yeah, no, thank you. Welcome, living beneficiaries. Jeez, that's the wrong button, guys. Beneficiaries to the show. I hate hitting the wrong button. Okay. So for Jay Sabol, this is Rick Hidalgo. This has been another episode of the House of Hidalgo show, and thank you for coming, guys. God bless you all, and stay safe. See you next time.